Hello there, and welcome back to the Brighton Talent Factory. We're about to start the second season, and we actually start off with a very interesting news here. I don't know if this happens for every Brighton save, but Brighton cleared debts. Our good financial performance has allowed the club to pay off part of the outstanding club debt, strengthening our position to build for a successful future. Now, when you start as Brighton, you start with a gift loan of 407 million. And apparently, that has now been forgiven completely because I don't think we paid for that. We have a positive balance. We do not have a positive balance of, a bajillion, but we have a positive balance now that does not translate to 407 million being paid off. So I assume it has been forgiven, which is pretty wild in all honesty. And that should make a new season here a lot simpler because this means that we should now be able to argue with the board that we might be able to get a new stadium and other fun things. But yeah, definitely interesting. We also completed the financial fair play periods in a positive manner. And we apparently have avoided a tax hit. So commercial summary updates, anything like that. I think we're fine. The deal has improved here. 1.5 million. We have 2 new deals. I wonder what the other deal is. Sponsors and others. 1 year. Because it said 2 million and this is 1.5. So a little bit unsure what the other one is, but it should be fine. Yes, it should be fine. I would hope. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how we can make this system work. We have some unassigned recruitment team members, which isn't a big deal. We're currently hiring new staff. We have some scouting going on, and generally, I think we're looking forward to this new season. But I wanted to just start it here with the financial situation being kind of rearranged, and we'll be going through preseason. We're probably going to be doing quite large changes to the squad. So we'll see exactly how that ends up once we are basically back with the preseason, probably sometime July, early August. We're getting a bit of a change here to the UEFA leagues, Champion League, Europa League, and Conference League. Basically, every team here has now every tournament has been expanded to 36 teams. It's going to have a league phase. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how that's going to work. It's going to be 8 fixtures. Each team will face 8 different opponents, which are drawn from seeded pots. And the teams placed first to 8 will proceed directly to round of 16. 9 to 24 will do knockouts. So, honestly, this seems like a bit of an interesting way of doing things. And basically, you're going to get an extra 2 games now in before you go to the round of 16. Because, as said, we'll be facing 8 different opponents before we face 3 different opponents back to back. So 6 games. I would assume it's just 1 game here. Or we end up with 16, which would be 10 extra games a season, which would be pretty mad. So I look forward to seeing how this is going to work out. We're getting closer to season start, and with that comes negotiating with the board in terms of what we believe that we can expect. So we could go up here, but honestly, as you can see here, no matter, we don't really get much extra money. The wage budget, of course, would be nice. I think we probably would be able to reach a knockout playoff round, I would think, in the Europa League. So we'll go with that one. Get quite a sizable amount of extra money, which would be nice. And in terms of the current budget and current spend, I wouldn't worry too much about this because for most teams, transfer windows don't actually open until the 1st of July. So we have a couple of sales already confirmed, but I'll go over that once we've got everything sorted. The board is also requesting us to meeting to discuss club improvements. So I'm looking forward to seeing this. Apparently, they're not very happy with my deal to sign Archie here. We paid 21.5 million, so I guess I could see that, but still, I think I'm happy with that deal personally. It's an English player that can develop to be very, very decent. Let's attend the meeting and see what actually happens here. Am I interested in a bigger budget for the director of football? to be honest, I think the money would be better spent elsewhere. I'm honest, I would say that. We look into improving the club's youth coaching program? Would love that. More expansive youth recruitment network? Would love that too. Uh, I would like the money to put into my pocket. Coaching staff wages? I don't think that's a problem. Scouting, physios, assistant, head of player development role. Basically, I think I'd go for one of these. So currently, I believe our youth club's coaching program isn't the best there is. I believe we have decent size in the recruitment network. So we're gonna try and put it into the club's youth coach program. And having considered what you have said, we're willing to cancel our plans and carry out your suggestion instead. We'll get started on your proposal right away. Okay, we believe it's important to stay on good terms with you. sounds like I'm a terror with that. So we can continue to work together, yeah. So we'll take that for sure. Club's academy coaching budget. Okay, maybe I should have gone for the other one. We'll see. Again, takes time to learn this. There's a lot that's different since last time I played. But so far, I'm having a lot of fun. And I've revisited the scouting again. Apparently, I need to just set it up in a manner that they focus on 11 positions. Apparently, I clicked too many buttons, so I sorted that out. That's why I wasn't getting any results. Been messing around with that throughout the entire season, so hopefully now this works as intended, and you can kind of see that it does. But as we get more scouts, I'm gonna be extending this list. Our second season is about to start in terms of the games, but before that, I thought we'd have a quick look here at the transfer window. So currently, there's been 82 done deals in, the Premier Division, and out of those 82 deals, we've been involved in 33 of them. So we've done a lot of that, but it looks like the transfer window deals and most deals done this window doesn't match, so I would assume it isn't actually us, but it would just be a little bit of a funny stat. Rodrigo has gone to City. Gertruida has gone to Chelsea. And there's been some interesting buys and sales here. But as you can see here, our biggest sale was Igor. And our biggest buy is Diamanda. I've had a lot of struggles this window with basically better rated teams, well, better reputed teams at least, snatching about 6 to 7 of the players that we're interested in. So it does put some limits on it, but I think Diamanda here is a pretty decent player to pick up. He's a ball-playing defender, which we do like. So not the worst thing we could pick up. He even still has some potential. He's still young. So at the very least, we should be able to make some money on this. But he did require a pretty high wage, but I think that is fine. Other transfer this window has been Simon and Restus. Both of them are goalkeeper talents that are actually pretty good. Potential 4 stars. And the same here for Restus, potential 4 stars. So we'll be trying to raise both of these guys. One of them came to the club while he was still 18, so potentially we could get homegrown status on him. Echegoyen, Linger and Leopold was all talents that we set up last season. Got on free transfer. We picked up Rooney here as well. He was basically a steal, so probably just gonna pick him up and try and flip him, try and make some money that way. But he's still a decent talent to pick up, decent player to have. Alderete here is just backup, basically. Paid a little bit for him, and he will be fitting in on the centre back as basically just support. Picked him up before I picked up Diamanda, which, I want to make sure that we had enough central defenders in case things went badly. Other than that, we picked up Bod here, or Bood, which is a central defender talent that's 16 years old. A little bit of money spent there, but honestly, I think it's worth it. And with that in mind, we still have a decent chunk of money remaining of the transfer budget. We are currently also trying to bring in Bove here. He's basically ball-winning midfielder, which is a position that we are kind of weak in. So getting him in would be neat too, basically as a support, but he also has potentially some chances of developing as well. And he is really, really cheap. So That is why we're doing this kind of move. Now, there is one problem that I'm probably going to have to deal with for the remainder of the season, and that is that I didn't remember or know, one of the two, probably didn't know, but you aren't actually allowed to bring in more than 6 under 21 foreign players over the course of a season. So potentially here, I might have screwed myself out of some talents by transferring in this case, Leopold and let's see, Echigoin. Because I'm pretty sure they actually, count towards that. We have Sayman, Restis, Echigoin, Board, Budgie, and I don't know who the sixth one is actually. But we basically picked up 6 players on 6 players under 21 for and that is a little bit problematic, so we'll have to deal with that. In terms of players out here, we have sold a huge amount. Seema, Igor, Mora, Steeler has also been sold. We might have a little bit of a struggle in the goalkeeper section this year, but we'll have a look at that. Hinchelwood, Atom, Undab, Alsat, Sherpen. There's no real super big deal set. Lamptey as well. Didn't struggle with development. We have better option right now, so I've decided to just let him go. Kind of decided last time around that we want to keep him, but I opted against that. Also, have let go of Veltman here. He has been declining. He's still a really good player, don't get me wrong. But he had 1 year left of contract. He wanted a really, really high salary and a 5-year contract. So we ended up selling him rather than locking ourselves in with him until he's like 37. So I still think the squad is decent enough, in my honest opinion. We have goalkeepers here. As you can see, Beetle, Restus, and Simon. We're going to try and develop these two. So again, we're probably going to struggle a little bit with goalkeepers because they're currently lower rated, but they aren't that far behind Verbruggen, who's actually been loaned out this season because he got pissed that I signed 2 goalkeepers. So they have better talent than him. Verbruggen is 3 and a white star, so while I thought he was a good talent, I probably end up developing him for North. But we'll try and make something happen here with these guys. And as you can see here, there's a lot of players in the squad here that aren't supposed to be here. Because training games. Francis Martinez was still trying to develop them somewhat, but as you can see here, Francis has kind of hit his ceiling, 3 stars. So while he was a talent that I invested a little bit into last year, he might not be worth it. So we'll see what we can do here. These guys will still be decent backup at the moment, and Martinez will still try and develop. Lewis Dunk here, Webster, both still doing well. With Diamanda, we should have a pretty decent central defense. Estupian and Barco are probably going to be our left defenders. Martinez and Francis are probably going to take the right defense mostly. So we do have a few options there. Smith Rowe here is probably going to be our AMC, not really midfielder. And we have Gilmore. We'll have to see how he develops this season. If he has no progress really, or no big progress, we're probably going to go ahead and let him go. De La Cruz will basically be filling the squad up, which should be good. Pascal is in the last year of his contract. I don't think we're going to offer him a new one, because while he is good, he doesn't really fill into anything that we need, because we're using advanced playmakers. We are using advanced playmakers here. He's older, he has a rather high wage, and as a result, he isn't really anything that we want to or really need to keep. We have talents that can fill in with Smith Rowe, with a few others here. So while letting him go this year is probably not on the cards, we can probably fill in next year, pick up someone. We also did picking Archie Gray here. We're going to try and develop him. Barco can also play midfielder if it's problematic. But in terms of the attack here, we have a little bit too many players. Linga here, again, picked him up on free transfer. A little bit lower, a little bit worse than I expected, honestly, compared to the rest of the squad. So we might just end up letting him go in the first transfer window. And Monaghan here, who we pulled off last season, we're definitely going to be trying to develop him in our team. He has rather high potential, I believe. So Ferguson, Monaghan, going to be our forwards. But of course, most of the other right wingers, left wingers here, they can play forwards as well. So we do have a lot of options, really. I don't think we're going to struggle with team, if you will. Magno here is also one that is struggling a little bit to develop. He is getting on the older side, so we'll have to see. If he has decent development this year, we're probably going to keep him. But if he can't really make his talent shine, we might just end up trying to get our money's worth for him. We'll have to see how that plays out. But honestly, I think the squad is decent enough. Francis and Martinez here might be, not good enough yet. But I'm still going to be trying to invest in them. I'm still going to be focusing on talent, even though it might hurt hurt our competitive side a little bit. But at the same time, we will try and pick up younger players like the Diamanda here, who has some decent potential. And he's actually the sixth player from. I'm silly. He's the sixth player that I signed under 21 from outside the league. So that's on me. I forgot he was 20 years old. I thought he was older. But yeah, that is basically it. We're gonna keep on fighting, and like last year, we are starting this season against United, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the new Champions League format is gonna work, or Europa League for us. But so far, transfers have been good, and we have also had a pretty significant increase in staff here. As you see, we can now have up to 12 coaches. We are up to 18 scouts. We actually are really, really happy with that. I'll be honest. It makes it a lot easier to get scouting done. But yeah, we're still lacking a little bit compared to the rest of the teams. Third, second in terms of ability. We are actually slacking when it comes to fitness training, but our training now is also looking really, really good. So I'm really, really hoping we can get something done. The main thing that we're actually lacking right now that I'm trying to find is a set piece coach, because that is the main thing that we are struggling with. We only found a 3-star one so far, but they're kind of hard to find. This guy was the best I could pick up, and he's lacking on the mental side, but he's actually decent on the other side here, so I think we're fine. Goalkeeping, decent and filled up. Still need to look for technical, and tactical here. For attacking and tactical for possession, as well as tactical for defending. But so far, I think our coaches here are doing well, but I'm still going to try and find upgrades for the remaining coach slots. So in terms of the squad so far, I'm actually kind of happy. I might have gone a little bit wild during the transfer window, but that is kind of what you expect, particularly early in the season. Well, early in the games. And some of these deals might not look super well or super good. Could probably have argued for more money, but I'm happy with them. We're getting some value out of it, and we also now have an increased wage budget available about 312. We can sign a couple more Diamandas if we want to, and still have some wage left over. Transfer budget is a little bit on the low side, because we actually started with 80, I think they said, but that was mainly just due to sales, so not that high, let's be honest. Dev Center, just gonna have a quick look here. We actually have a talent that I've completely overlooked, Casper here, and we might actually bring him up to the first team. We probably should, honestly. He's already 2.5 stars, could be better. Has some decent stats here, so it could, if we have damage, if we have any injuries, we're probably going to go ahead and bring him forwards. Now, we have a couple of other interesting players that have potential. Danny Clark, which we signed. Jordan Mitchell, which came up through our youth system. Gene Bood, which is actually not a DM. He's more of a central defender. And we have, as I said, a few interesting targets with these three in particular. We're probably going to get a few games on the first team this season, just to try and boost that development a little bit. Currently, I think we want to keep them for probably a little bit longer before we start loaning them out. Let them develop a little bit. But so far, we actually have quite a bit of talent here. And as you can see, basically everyone is available for U21 right now, because we kind of need to get match sharpness. But so far, I think, as I said, that team is looking good. And hopefully we can have a better season than we had last time. The team, in terms of positions, hasn't really been strengthened that much, if anything at all. But with Ferguson's development and everything, I think should be able to go for at least another sixth place. And if we have a look at the January transfer window, we might be able to pick up someone that will just directly strengthen our squad quite significantly. Because right now, we don't really have a ton of super talent. We're kind of lacking a full 11. But I think, as I said, that I'm happy with the current situation. I do want to develop talent. That's what I'm here for. It would be better to be a higher rated team. It would make it easier to snap up talent. But I think, again, I just keep on saying the same thing now, don't I? I do like where we're at, and I enjoy this game. So let's get back into it. We're going to get the season started, and we'll see how we perform this year. The new Europa League format has been revealed, and we're going to be playing against some potentially dangerous customers here. Sevilla, Juventus, Galatasaray, Nice. I think we'll survive, honestly. These are our 8 games, and I don't think it's going to be super bad. We are playing most of the, well, not really. We're playing Juve at home, but the rest of these guys playing away, away. So it's going to be a little bit interesting, but I think this is going to be okay. I would like to see the league table though. There we go, the league phase. So as long as we avoid the bottom 8 here, we have a chance. So it's not terrible, but I'm looking forward to seeing how this is gonna actually end up. Yes. So we might have a small problem here with Ferguson, but it has been sorted. We've discussed new contract, which will give him 4 times the amount of ages, basically 100k, contract until 29, and also an optional extension for the team. So we can basically keep him here now for the next 6 years if we want to. It's going to cost us a little bit of extra money though, but in terms of what the team can afford, it's not a problem. We have a lot of wage budget available. So again, that is fine. Now, in terms of the progression here, we have Restus here, who's actually grown pretty quickly. He's up to 3 stars now, and he is continuing to grow, so he was a pretty good choice to bring in. We have Seaman, who is also mainly being used as a U21 backup goalkeeper, still growing, but having a little bit of drops every now and again, which is what you'd expect. Clark here, slowly developing as well as things are going. Martinez and Francis here, they're both being played, but honestly, I probably should have could potentially kept Lamptey as a squad player, but both of our Spaniards are doing fairly well. Other than that, Diamanda here has had a pretty good start to his pretty good start to his spell over here, so I can be happy with that. Board hasn't really done much, haven't been active in the A team. I just keep him here to have a look at him. And generally here, Archie is slowly growing, been given a few games, so that is nice to see. Pascal is basically getting to the point where we're probably going to allow him to leave the team at the end of this year. He has a contract of 70k. It is going out. He is starting to kind of degrade a little bit, and generally he isn't working any of the position that we tend to use. Bove can basically fill this role at this stage and does actually fairly well. Now, Linga has yet to get a game. We have a few other players that we're probably going to end up kind of releasing in, not really releasing, but try and get money out of. Bodgi here, Ronnie has done, or Rooney has done pretty well, and pretty happy with that pickup. So all in all, the players that we picked up have been doing fairly well. And apparently Jordan Mitchell was one that we did kind of forget about, but he too has a fairly decent potential. Doesn't have a super high starting point or anything like that, but he too is someone that we will be having a look at along with Monaghan, who is slowly growing. We're giving him a game every now and again, having him sub in, and generally giving him playing time at the quote-unquote highest level. Currently, in terms of our schedule here for the start of the season, we drew with United, won against West Ham, then we had a couple of losses against Liverpool and City, beat Palace, lost to Nice, beat Newcastle, lucky game against Fulham, decent game against Everton, where we kind of actually had a good one for once. Astana went our way, Norwich went our way. Then we had a bit of a surprise loss against Aston, in all honesty. But so far, the start of this season has gone fairly well. And we have Galatasaray, we have Juve, we have Maccabi, awhile. And as you can see here, at the end of January is when the league phase ends. So we still have plenty of football to play. There is a friendly in here due to one of the laws of the land, not really. One of the, what's it called, conditions, clauses that we had in one of our transfer contracts. We had to just try to squeeze it in here. It's not the best place to squeeze it in, but honestly not the worst either. We have a little bit of a gap here. But the main concern would be, well, the Carabao Cup fourth round against Everton. If we end up drawing there, we might end up with a potential problem here with the games. But I think for the time being, we should be all right. We have received the expectation for the youth intake in 3 months. As you can see, it's expected that we're going to have a good intake, but just B's and C's and some D's and some E's. Generally, what I think we can hope for is probably an attacking midfielder, maybe a decent fullback. Defensive midfielder is interesting though, as that could potentially fill in a lacking area of ours. But generally here, the youth intake this year is probably not going to be as good as last year's. Last year's we had A's for 2 positions, basically left wing and striker, which gave us Monaghan and Mitchell. So probably not going to have just as good luck this time around. Now, development-wise, we're still doing well. Restus is developing nicely. Rooney here is developing nicely, although he might have reached his cap. We have given Buonanotte a new contract until 29, but unfortunately we had to agree to to get him to sign that contract, we had to agree to a sell limitation. What's it called? Basically, if someone bids us, we have to sell him 90 million, which is probably a little bit low for him, to be honest, but I took that as a sacrifice that I had to make to get him to sign it. Ferguson here has developed really nicely. He is going a little bit up and down right now, but honestly, corners, free kick taking, long throws, penalty taking would be nice to have. But generally, yeah, these skills decreasing and having basically been put into others is something that I would be happy with allowing to, well, happen. So our young team here is actually developing fairly well. Diamanda here is also still developing. He can become even better. So all in all, the team is doing what we expect. Training ratings are high as a whole. So that is really, really what we like to see. Now, in terms of our performance, it's been rather good, as you can see here, since last time we checked. We won the majority of the games. We've only drawn one. We've had a few losses, like this really, really bad loss to Nottingham Forest. We did lose the friendly, and we recently lost against Arsenal, as well as drawing against Brentford, and we also lost against Aston Villa. And that puts us in a pretty interesting situation when it comes to the Premier League, because the Premier League, as you can see, Villa is currently leading. Chelsea is second, City is third, and then you have us. So it's a pretty close league this year because from basically first to, what would it be here? Well, let's just go first to 10th. There's just 11 points. From 9th here up to 3rd, it's just 4 points. So it's really volatile. If we have just a couple of bad games here, we could potentially get kicked out of Europa League qualifiers. So it's been incredibly, incredibly close. And you can actually see that our goalie here, Restus, which we've used for the majority of our games, is kind of carrying us with an average rating of 743. So he's definitely been instrumental in making sure that we can actually survive, so to speak. Now, on the other end of the sheet here, we've actually had some pretty decent performances from Ferguson. He scored 10 goals, 7 in just English Premier Division, but he has been doing well in the games that he has played, so I can't really complain too much. He is really growing, and I'm looking forward to seeing if we can see the same kind of growth here from Monaghan. He is slowly but surely getting a little bit of growth going. We have started him in a few games here, a little bit over everywhere. I probably should send him back though to the under 18 squad, but he is available for them, and I might need to do a little bit of research on if it's beneficial to keep your player in your main squad while they're available for the under 18 squad. But yeah, we have a few high injury risk problems here, but generally we should be okay. Monaghan, as I said here, holding a pretty high standard on training, same for Danny Clark, so I'd say we are looking really, really good. Now, we have a few more games this winter before we start the transfer window, so we'll get them done. About 5-6 games, I think, before we actually get to the transfer window. So it's still a pretty rough end to the first half of this season. Now, the quarterfinal is against Liverpool, which means that we might actually just lose the Carabao Cup, which wouldn't be too surprising. The FA Cup, we're going to be playing against Ipswich. I would assume that we're going to get through there, but we'll just have to kind of wait and see. So yeah, that is it for basically, I think, the first season here. Not really the first season, the first half of the season. But I'm going to go ahead and go through these 6 games. And we'll see exactly where we stand come the transfer window opening. We have reached the halfway point of the season. Transfer window has just opened, and currently, Aston Villa is looking like strong contenders to actually winning the league this year, and that is slightly surprising. But we aren't that far off ourselves. We're 8 points behind with a game less played, so potentially 5 points behind. Our next game is going to be against Everton, who is currently struggling to stay up in the league as it is. So it's a very, very interesting situation, but you have the, what should I say, usual suspects in with us as an addition, with Villa as an addition here. But City has not been able to do as well as you would expect. They've lost against Villa, Tottenham, Norwich, United, and Liverpool. And Villa here has lost against basically just Arsenal, United, Norwich, Chelsea, and West Ham. So, except for Chelsea, all of my away games. So they're actually looking kind of strong. In our case, we've actually lost 6 games. Villa, City, Liverpool, Arsenal, and we had a very, very bad loss against Nottingham Forest and a little one against Norwich. But for the most part, we've done well in our home games, with the exception of, well, Brentford and Fulham, which we drew. But really, so far, things have been going fairly well. We did lose out in the Carabao Cup quarterfinal on penalties against Liverpool. After that, we drew against Fulham, probably a little bit of a, hurt confidence there. Leeds got it back, but then we lost against Norwich again, which actually is doing fairly well. And we do actually have some decent chances here, but we have some strong contenders coming up. I guess you could say Tottenham is kind of strong, but we have Villa at home. If we can win that one, I think this season could get very interesting. Then we have United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Nottingham Forest again, City, Liverpool. So there is a few kind of challenging games going into the second half of the season, but so far things are looking really, really good. In terms of transfers here, I am offering Pascal Gross here to sell him because he hasn't been getting too many games. He's basically been an impact sub, and he's earning a little bit too much money for that, in my opinion. He is a nice squad player, don't get me wrong, but I'm thinking that we might bring in someone who is a bit more talented. We still have a lot of transfer money, and with him going out, the wage budget will also go out. Now, I have already signed my 6 foreign players under 21 of the season, so I'm trying to see if I can actually sign Sverre Halset Naipan here on a end of season transfer window contract. So hopefully that should allow me to sign him, but if not, we're probably going to miss this fairly decent talent, let's put it like that. Potentially 4 stars, already fairly decent. So it is what it is, but we'll just deal with that as we go. However, he is basically available in every stat, and that is probably affecting the scouts report about him somewhat, but even that should be okay. Now, talent-wise, Monaghan here has been basically keeping his training rating at 10 for the entirety of this first half for the most part. Training has been wild for him, which we like to see on double intensity. He is growing somewhat, and he's also going a little bit up and down, back and forth, so that does leave me a little bit concerned. But I think we should be able to get a good player by the time he turns 18. Bood, Mitchell, and Clark here all done well too. Not really much progress just yet, but they're still young, so it's not a big deal. Archie Gray has been given a few starts, been given a few impact sub options here, non-competitive again. Been given a few starts mainly. It's a different player I've been subbing in. But he's been doing well when we played against worse opponents, so I can't really complain. But other than that, things are going well. But what we're probably going to end up doing in terms of our positions here next year is we might end up letting go of Alderete here. He hasn't been giving too many starts, 13 games total. And the main reason why he has been giving too many starts is that we haven't had any particular injury issues, but also because we have the two, we have Francis, we have Martinez, that both can also play center defense, and they actually do the job better. But they have actually reached their kind of plateauing levels of skill. So letting go Lamptey, seeing this might have been a mistake, but I do enjoy, racing talent more. So we might go and look for another defender, right? But we have Clark here. If we can just get him up and running over the next few years, that would be amazing too. So I don't think we're really in a bad position of getting talent. Let's put it like that. We have Bood here as well. Potentially defender midfielder. Just need to give him some more games to develop him. And I think De La Cruz is reaching the end of his usefulness. He's still a really good impact sub, but I think I'd rather get rid of maybe him and Groz, both of them, and see if I can pick up a better talent to put in their place. Well, not really a talent, basically a player that is better than them while having a higher kind of skill ceiling. Linger here, we're trying to sell him as well. He hasn't really been giving it any play time. We basically just brought him in on free transfer because we could, and we thought we would be able to make some money out of him. So we'll see if we can get him sold this coming window. But yeah, things are looking really, really good. And Ferguson in particular has been kind of developing now to the point where he's starting to hit, I think, his somewhat skill ceiling, but he's decreasing penalty taking, long throws, free kick, and corners to kind of make up for growing elsewhere, I think. So he's a star player who can still improve, and the reports here are pretty conclusive towards that fact. So as long as he maintains a high level, he actually won the European Golden Boy winner. So he is doing well, let's be honest. The Amanda Young Footballer of the Year, African Young Footballer of the Year. So we can't really complain. I was about to say beat Jude Bellingham, but that was last year. So we'll definitely take that award. It's nice to see. But that is the end of the first half of the season. We have had a very good. We've done very well. I have changed up the tactics a little bit. Just want to let that known. Been switching around between deep line playmaker, defensive midfielders. We're trying to move them back here, but generally what we see then is that we just get overrun in the midfield. So I probably need, if I want to do that, I probably need a high line of engagement. But generally, this change has seemed to work fairly well. We did this change basically halfway through this year, but two APs or a DLP and an AP both seem to work fairly well for the setup that we're using. This might work a little bit better, so I'm grateful for that advice. So yeah, if you have anything else you'd like to, let me know about, feel free. But for now, we're gonna end it here. Thank you for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this first half of the second season. And we do potentially have, if we're really, really lucky in the second half, a chance of maybe at least snatching a Champions League spot. Let's see if we can pull it off. Bye-bye.